Welcome back. It's Dr. Jen Fruboni, Doctor of Physical Therapy, better known as DocJenFit, owner and founder of Gen Health, your one-stop shop for all aches and pains or just wanting to feel good and have a routine to follow for your body. Now, today we're going to talk about a stability ball kind of movement prep routine that I loved doing right before my first pregnancy, and I know that you're going to love it, or right before my first birth, I should say, and I know that you're going to love it as well. Especially toward the end, as that belly gets bigger, we like to spend a lot of time on one of these stability kind of balls if you have access to it at home, because it's so much easier to just feel supported in your body. But the key here is that you blow it up enough where the knees are lower than the hips. Okay. So that's going to be my first cue here, is that you don't want to be sinking too low, because when our knees are lower than our hips, it automatically sets us up into a good position for our pelvis so that we can feel a lot more movement. Now, the key for this is that we want to have the pelvis find all these different directions of movement so that we have better access to it during labor and birth itself. We don't want to just try to find those positions when we're birthing, but understanding and finding and opening up those pelvic positions prior to labor is way more essential and helpful for the body. So we'll get started. Hopefully you have one of these, and we'll go into it. So, and one thing that I do want to just point out really quickly is that we do have a postpartum guide. Now, this was a little bit more geared towards cesarean birth because that is the first birth that I had. However, anyone postpartum can be using it, and I kind of guide you through movements that you can do in those early 1 to 4 weeks, because it really helps you to understand gentle breath and mobility to help reconnect your body, rehabilitate your body before jumping like, 6 weeks has passed. Now I can go back into exercise without having done anything else. So it's a great guide. It's completely free. And I'm going to have that linked up for you. Just grab it now so that you prepare yourself no matter what kind of birth outcome that you have as well. So first, we're going to start with just pelvic tilts. Now, have your feet wide and comfortable so that you're not forcing any kind of position along your hips or belly. So go into what feels comfortable for you without trying to move your shoulders. I just want you to try to tuck and untuck your pelvis. Okay. We're going to do this about 5 times. Tuck and untuck. Now, for each of these, you can always spend more time. Okay. So I'm going to say, you could do about 5 to 10, but you can always spend more time, especially if it feels good. But what I want you to feel is that low back and that pelvis as far open, as far tucked, as far open, as far tucked. Then we're going to shift side to side. So now again, keeping my shoulders stable, my upper body stable, I'm going to try to just shift one hip up and then completely open that side and shift the other hip. So it's a shift and a shimmy. Okay. So you'll feel one side contract as the other side relaxes, and getting that movement around the baby, around the belly, and around that pelvis. So again, about 5 to each side, but you can always spend a little bit more time here, especially if it feels good. Then we're going to go into a circle. So I'm going to go one way and then we'll go the other way. So I'm going to take that hip shift, mix it with that pelvic tilt, hip shift to the other direction, and then tilt all the way around. So now we're mixing both of those movements that we did first into a full rotation. Again, can I keep my shoulders pretty stable here as I just focus on opening in that low back and that pelvis area, and feel everything start to move, everything start to open. Okay. We'll do about 5 one direction, trying to keep those shoulders stable, trying to just move as slow and as big. It's not about bouncing and going super fast. Let's go the other direction. It's about slow, controlled. Can I feel each position? Can I breathe into each position? Sometimes you feel like your body is straining as you're trying to get into each, like, can I tilt? Can I shift? Can I rotate? Try to relax. So try to bring those hands onto your belly and just take some slow breaths as you circle really big into that pelvis. So close your eyes. Feel that circle. Feel that whole completion of that pelvic rotation. Okay, then we're going to sit more toward the edge of the ball a little bit, and we're going to shift side to side. So we're going to come into a lunge, extending one leg, bring your arm in the inside, and stretch over for like a QL stretch. Breathe into that side, and then shift to the other side. Shift, open up that leg, open up that side groin area. Take a breath into that rib cage, and then try to shift to the other side. Reach, reach, reach. So we want, that side body to be lengthened along that pelvis as well. We're shifting, and we still have support of that ball. So even though the legs might feel like they're doing a little bit more work to hold you in this position, we still have support from the ball. And you can play with different leg positions too. Do I need to move my legs out a little bit more? Do I need to move my legs in a little bit more? Play with what feels best for your body as you extend one leg and stretch over. But breathe into that side. And you do about 5 to each side again. Spending a little bit more time. You could take a couple breaths into that side if you want to spend a little bit more time there. Now we're going to come down. And I'm just going to hug my body over that ball and relax. Now from here, I'm going to do a cat-cow. So I'm going to think of rounding into my back and relaxing. So it's kind of those pelvic tilts, just in a different area. Round, 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 and relax. Round and relax. You can get a little movement with that ball forward and back. See what feels good. Round in that back. And then open and stretch that belly. Allow that tissue to kind of stretch with you. We'll do 5 of those. And then we're going to go into external rotation rock. So now I'm going to move my knees further apart. My feet are going to be together, and I'm going to try to keep my pelvis flat. So that means I'm not going to round down. I'm going to keep my pelvis flat as I go back and forward. Back. So I'm kind of sticking my booty out, and I'm doing 5 of those, deepening into my hips. You can move your knees out a little bit more if you feel like you need more space. If you feel like that's a little uncomfortable, do a slight tuck of the bottom, but we just don't want to go completely round in the back. Okay, so you can slightly tuck the bottom if you need to, but try to keep as flat of a back as possible. Then we're going to completely reverse that by having the knees toward each other and the feet out. And you're going to rock again. Rock as much as you can, keeping that back flat, and then come up about 5 times. So rock into those hips, feel that opening in the back of the pelvis, and then coming up. And about 5 times here. You're going to feel a different sensation into those hips. So it's a little different than the external rotation rocks, which we typically tend to have a little bit more room. But this is the opening that we want, especially at the end of birth and labor. When you want the baby to exit the pelvis, we actually want the knees in toward each other. So being able to access that is really crucial. And then we're just going to go into a deep squat. So I'm going to hold on to the support of my ball here, and I'm just going to breathe. Now, this is where you can have your feet a little bit further apart to create more space. You can sit onto a block. If you're like, this is just a really uncomfortable position here for me, and I cannot sit this low into a squat, that's okay. You can use the ball to kind of round forward, breathe in, sit up. Okay, so you can find different spots that you're kind of moving into those hips a little bit more, feet a little bit wider, toes a little bit wider if you need it, but you're just trying to melt. Now, what I want you to do is really relax that breath down. So breathing in, feel that pelvic floor is opening, and breathing out and relaxing. You do not have to look like me into a low squat. You get to look like you. So again, if you need a little bit more support, sitting on a block, sitting on a stack of pillows, putting your back against a wall, whatever feels a little bit better to get that stability and support. But I would say trying to work into an unsupported squat as much as possible should be your goal. Okay. So you spend about at least 2 minutes here. 2 minutes is going to sound like a long time, but if you just focus on your breath and swaying and breathing deep and relaxing, hopefully that time starts to go by a little bit faster, and we build that capacity to be able to go into that full squat, which is so good for opening up those hips. Now, I hope that helped to provide a little bit of relief, a little bit of opening, and give you just access to more movement around that pelvis and low back. Come back to this as often as you need to. And don't forget to sign up for that postpartum guide because it's completely free. It's going to be great to have. Don't forget, if you love what you're learning, I have so much more in stock for you. So hit that subscribe button, check out the other videos I've done in the past, and leave any comments of any suggestions that you have for videos in the future. And I can't wait to help you feel incredible and amazing within your body.